traffic ads and sales or conversion ads. That's it. Those are the two styles of ad. Pretty broad overview of Facebook ads specifically. However, this is not a beginner's class talking about what Facebook ads are and why authors use them. This is a deeper dive, and the whole point of this video is to give you, the working author, the career author, an idea of the two main thrusts of any Facebook campaign that I've seen authors do. We're talking strategy here, we're talking high level, we're talking some tactics and things like that. It's important to acknowledge that Facebook is certainly not the only platform to run ads. So as we're talking now, Facebook is the biggest social media network on the planet by far. It happens to be one of the largest pay-per-click campaign advertising platforms on the planet as well. It's not the biggest, but the reason we talk about it in terms of how to use it as an author is that when you get to a certain point in your career, after you've figured out how to write books well, after you figured out how to do your thing, it becomes evident that in order to scale, you have to start advertising. This day and age, it seems more and more clear that it's not just a requirement to scale, but it's a requirement to maintain. Anything like a mailing list will atrophy, and it will start to diminish over time. Literally, people pass away and they can't answer your emails anymore, and that's just one reason why you can't just keep the core group of people who read your books now for the rest of time. It just doesn't work that way. So we use advertising to fill the pipeline, as we say. We don't really have control of the levers over at Amazon. That's owned by Amazon. We can't force people to go download our book. We can use branding and marketing techniques to get people to our sales page, but without advertising, we can't really control the flow of people to that sales page. On Amazon, when you've got your book listed for sale, Amazon has done a pretty good job getting that sales page to be as banged up as possible so that people want to convert, meaning become customers and buy your book. But controlling traffic to that sales page is the problem at that point. We have to get people there, and usually they have to be new people if they're going to have a chance at buying our book and getting on our mailing list and becoming lifelong fans. So the way to control the flow of people to that sales page is advertising. We're going to get into two sort of highways. They were like roads or routes forward, but they're really more like foundations built on each other. You do both at the same time in some sense. And these are the two main strategies for running Facebook ads that I've heard any author doing. So let's jump in. There are, on the Facebook ads platform, first of all, usually called Meta Business Suite or the Facebook Business Suite. You can go to business.facebook.com. That's where we're living for all of this, okay? This is attached to your social profile, but it's worth noting that all of this stuff we're talking about requires you to have an author page, a Facebook page, not a personal profile. The point is, you want to control your business and keep your business somewhat separate from your personal profile. That's a benefit for you, but it's also going to be a benefit for your actual ads. The example is, we're going to talk about something called the Facebook Pixel, or what is now called the Conversions API, which just means Application Programming Interface. And this is just a piece of code that lives on your website. You have a website, right? Okay, we're going to talk about that. You need a website, you need a web store for all of the stuff we're talking about today, so pause and go make one. The Pixel is a little piece of code that lives on the website, on every page of your site. It's JavaScript, it knows what page it's on, and it knows what the individual visitor is doing. They click on this, they click on that, they go here, they bounce off here, how much time they spend there, if they spend any money. You can even assign values to the money they spend. So if they buy something from you, if they buy a book from your bookstore, your Shopify store, whatever it is, you can assign a value to that if it's not already apparent to the Conversion API. This is just code that connects your website and your world to Facebook, to the business suite specifically. And the reason that's important for what we're going to talk about is that Facebook ads need to know what's going on over here on your website in order for them to work better. All of this stuff lives in the business suite. The pixel is there. You can set up the pixel. You can set up new pixels. For example, I've got a book career in a year pixel for my nonfiction side, and I've got the Nick Thacker author, which is my fiction stuff. And that pixel lives on my website, on my Nick Thacker site, while the book career in a year pixel lives on, you guessed it, the book career in a year website. that traffic is separate. So you are probably listening to me because you know me through Book Career in a Year. You're an author and I'm teaching other authors. So your data, if you've ever been to that website and browsed around or clicked or maybe even purchased something from me, that data is stored and sent to Facebook. That data is collated, collected, and given to the business suite so that we can manage ads using that data. Okay, cool. So preface over. Here are the two, what I again used to call routes, but really are foundations for Facebook ads. Very simply, they are called traffic ads and sales or conversion ads. That's it. Those are the two styles of ad. Now, you can see right away when you set up a new ad on Facebook, a dialog box pops up and asks what campaign title is, and that's just the largest envelope that all of our ads are in. So it's the biggest bucket, if you will. So your campaign has a title, has a name, and you can tweak some things within that. And then at a deeper level, at a granular level, you can run multiple ad sets within each campaign. And then within each ad set, you have, you guessed it, ads. So the individual ads live inside of ad sets, which live inside a campaign. We can have 1 million ads and they can all live inside one campaign, and on our dashboard it's nice and clean, easy to filter down and see which ad sets or individual ads are working or not working. And so it's really nice to be able to set this up this way. So you set your campaign up, and on that dialog box, you are given the option to choose between traffic ads, sales or conversion ads. They call them conversion ads, I believe, these days. And a few other options like lead gen ads or awareness or engagement campaigns, where this is literally just trying to get people to like and click and interact with your post. Lead gen ads, for example, these are where you click sign up. On Facebook itself, a little thing pops up that autofills your information. So if you want to sign up to get a free report, maybe you've clicked that on purpose or on accident, and all of a sudden you see your own information there being auto-filled into this thing. That's a lead gen ad, a lead generation ad. We're not going to talk about that. Not because they're not good ads. Facebook wouldn't offer them if they didn't work at all. But because there are foundational ads that I want you to understand intuitively, to know and love and have built and set up and know how to run before you even touch all that other stuff. My whole theory of marketing is there are 3 buckets every author should be doing at all times, not one for 3 months and the other one for 3 months, the other one for 3. All the time you should be doing advertising, which we're talking about today. You should be doing social media marketing, and you should be doing email marketing, collecting email addresses, sending newsletters. Those are the 3 buckets. These are foundational. I've given talks where these are the back burner items, so they're not the things you forget about, but they're the things that are running on the back burner all the time. When we're getting into Facebook ads, these 2 styles of ad are the things you should be running all the time. So you should be running traffic ads, and you should be running sales conversion ads all the time. Here's where people get screwed up. You may listen to another person talk about ads, and they're giving you all the information about how to build these ads and how to structure campaigns. You may hear somebody talk about these types of ads, and they may just start going and saying, okay, we'll set up a traffic campaign. We're trying to get a bunch of traffic to a page, and here's how you get your cost per click as low as possible and your conversion rate as high as possible, and blah, 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 blah. They get deep into the weeds with the images and the text and the descriptions and the headlines, and they're not wrong to do that, because whenever you run an ad, the creative is usually the most important piece of the ad being successful or not. Meaning, the image is far more important than the budget you give that ad. And the headline is going to be far more important than the structure of the ad campaign itself. Facebook doesn't care about that. Facebook cares about the creative being really good. And so when these guys teach you stuff about Facebook ads, a lot of times they spend a lot of their time talking about the creative, getting the creative right, testing the creative. Just run a headline with a blank blue background with no image and get the headline converting really well first. Then put the image on the best performing headline and figure out which image is working the best. All of this is really good advice, but I don't want you to miss the forest for the trees, as we say. You need to know whether or not this is a traffic campaign or a sales conversion campaign. You're trying to get sales, or you're trying to take traffic from Facebook and point them somewhere else, okay? Let me define these a little bit better. Traffic ads on Facebook are where you are trying to get website visitors, okay? You're trying to take all the people looking at your ad on Facebook, and as far as Facebook is concerned, the conversion happens when somebody clicks that link. That's it, okay? So you are paying Facebook for the right to show an ad to somebody and hope that they click a button to go somewhere else. Authors get confused with the conversion rate when we talk about CTR on this platform if it's a traffic ad, because the conversion rate that we care about as authors isn't clicking a link, it's buying a book, right? So traffic ads become challenging in that regard, even though they tend to be cheaper. I can go get 1 to 3 cent clicks and have a great conversion rate of people who are clicking my ads because they like my face or my book looks cool or whatever. They don't even speak English, I don't know. And they're going off to Amazon or wherever I'm sending them, and they're not converting into customers. They're not buying anything. They're just clicking pretty stuff on Facebook. So traffic ads can be very valuable, but you need to understand what they're for. And they are not for driving direct sales, meaning sending them to your website to get them to buy your book. That's what a sales ad is for. So a sales ad, a conversion ad as we call it, doesn't care as much about the conversion rate of the actual ad itself, how many people click through. The ad cares more about people going through checkout. So clicking checkout on your website after they've typed in their credit card information and obviously put stuff in the cart and then bought it. Okay, so that is the difference. And that might sound obvious, but the kicker is if you are sending people to Amazon, you don't have any of the data to send back to Facebook to let that traffic ad know, hey, this person converted, this person didn't, this person stayed on Amazon's website for 15 seconds and then bounced. You don't know any of that stuff. Amazon knows that stuff, but they're not giving it to you. Okay, and they're certainly not going to give it to Facebook, who they see as somewhat of a competitor. So this data is completely missing from a traffic campaign. If you're sending people to Amazon with a sales ad, hoping to get people to convert on Amazon, what's going to happen is there's no pixel data for Facebook, for Meta Business Suite to use to enhance your ad, to make it better, to optimize it for the next person, because they don't know what's happening. They're just literally trying to get people to click through and go wherever you sent them. However, if you have the pixel installed on your own website, the conversion API working and tested properly, then you do have that data to give to Facebook. And the beauty of having that data to give to Facebook now is that you can say, hey, this person clicked on the ad, came to my website, shopped around, put a bunch of stuff in the cart, put a coupon code in, clicked checkout, and then clicked 3 upsells and a thank you page later, and we're done. All of that data gets packaged up through that conversions API, that little JavaScript code, and sent back to Facebook. And that data gets churned through their AI algorithm, right? Their magic black box that runs ads. And it sees that and it goes, oh, okay, so that person got the sale on this website. That's what the advertiser wanted. Okay, cool. So all I need to do is find more people like that person. And because they're Facebook, okay, this is why we're talking Facebook, because Facebook is so big, it has that data. It knows that if Betty Sue bought this book on my website, it's got 300 million other Betty Sues who probably would like the same thing. And so the longer we run that sales ad, the better the data gets. We're making some assumptions here that, like making sure your website's set up correctly so people aren't faced with a 502 bad gateway error or something when they get there, and that you've optimized your checkout process. So the whole website's super fast, the cart is quick and easy to understand, the checkout buttons aren't hidden on the page somewhere or white on gray text, and it's optimized to increase the value of the sale as much as possible because you want people coming in and adding it to the cart, called upsells or cross-sells or thank you bumps, order bumps, all that stuff. The whole point is, if you have this data, if you know that Betty Sue came and bought this thing in the cart and she likes thrillers because that's the ad she clicked on in the first place, Facebook now has data to say, okay, we need to find more Betty Sues who like thrillers like this. And guess what? We're Facebook. We can do that. We've got, 800 billion trillion people on the platform, and all of them are adding to their data profile that our AI is building every single day. So that's the power of a sales ad. Now, I've defined these, and I want to be very clear that one is used for one thing, but it is not used for the other. So if you are setting up Facebook ads and you're deciding to do traffic ads, what you're really saying is that you want to drive people from your ad to someone else's store, not your own. Okay, this is key. This is crucial. Not your website. You're driving that traffic somewhere where you don't have the conversions API installed. Sales are the exact opposite. If you are setting up a sales campaign, a conversion campaign, you are not sending them to someone else's website. You're not sending them to Amazon. You're not sending them to Barnes & Noble. You're not sending them to Books to Read to choose their store, that Draft Digital's thing. You are sending them to your website. Why? Because the sales ad works in tandem with the pixel. Now, other people you may have heard or courses will say that traffic ad is still a great thing to send to your website because the pixel is still on your website and the traffic ad can certainly be optimized with the pixel. That is true. However, when you're setting up a traffic ad, the people who just like to click on things and go to other websites, Facebook's algorithm knows which people are likely to do that. Those are not the people who are typical to buy something from you. So what happens is over time, even though your pixel's sending data back to this traffic ad saying, hey, John and Bob came to your website and signed up for free books, and now they're on your mailing list, and we're the pixel, we're going to send this over back to the Facebook ad and tell that traffic ad to go find more Johns and Bobs. And it will. And so over time, it gets better and better at finding Johns and Bobs. The problem is you don't want John and Bob on your mailing list. You don't have time and money and energy to coddle the Johns and Bobs anymore, okay? Stop trying to scrape the bottom of the barrel, cast the net wide, whatever idiom you want to use to find the Johns and Bobs because you think it's cheaper. On paper, on Facebook ad dashboard, sure, it looks cheaper to find that person. Johns and Bobs are just going to clog up your list, get freebies. If they even stay around for your first email that says, hey, thanks for downloading all my free stuff, would you mind buying something from me? They're going to be like, oh, unsubscribe. If they even stay past that, they're never going to buy anything. And yeah, I mean, it's a numbers game. On a rare occasion, John might buy something one day if there's a huge discount or whatever. But generally speaking, you are now spending money hosting that mailing list. So you're on MailerLite, MailChimp, ConvertKit, Author Email even, which is mine. And you're just building this huge network of people who have proven they don't want to buy from you. They just want your free stuff. This is dangerous for authors because it's a very attractive proposition to get cheap Johns and Bobs on your mailing list because it makes your mailing list really big, really fast. If you're early in your career, this might be a viable strategy because you just need to get eyeballs and try to see what happens. You're fighting obscurity. You're not trying to make money necessarily. You're trying to get your book out to as many people as possible so that you can build that organic reach and blah, 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 all that. I think you understand what I'm saying. Sales ads go directly to your website because you have the pixel installed. It's a property you own. Sales ads do not go to Amazon or other web stores that have your books in them because you don't have the pixel installed over there. We've defined these: traffic ads, sales ads, or conversions ads. I call them sales ads because I don't want to confuse you. Any ad you run is going to have conversions. Even a lead gen ad, the conversion is getting the lead. That's a successful conversion. So I don't like calling them conversion ads. Traffic ads, sales ads. Let's talk about how to set each one up, and as we do, we'll talk about why I think both are important. Basically, one is cheaper than the other, and so we need to take advantage of that cheaper option, the traffic ad, while also understanding when to use it, when to deploy this type of ad, and for what. Okay, so I've given this answer already, but you shouldn't be using a traffic ad to try to drive sales to your own website. Make sense? But since we're not talking about pixel data on Amazon, because we don't have it, traffic ads are great to send people over to Amazon. You're never going to confuse your own pixel because they're not going through your website. They're not landing on your website. They're landing on Amazon's website. And so why not take advantage of those relatively inexpensive readers and purchasers that Facebook may find and send to Amazon? I think every author should have a traffic ad that runs at bare minimum $5 a day. $10 is probably modern day minimum. You need to have multiple ads and ad sets that you're tracking and be able to test which creative is better, which image is better. You're still doing that. So there's still active work here. But that traffic campaign is running all the time. So $5 a day, $10 a day, it's not that expensive. And so what happens is you can usually get between 10 and 30 extra conversions that day. And I'm being very general because I don't know your genre, your price point, all that stuff. So for me, when I run this traffic ad, $5 to $10 a day, I'm running it to people on Facebook who I believe will like my stuff. And it's Facebook's job now to go find more people like that who will respond to my ad in a positive way by clicking on it and going to Amazon. And Facebook's job is done. They said, hey, cool, that's what you wanted, that's your traffic, pay me money. And it's usually cheaper than a sales ad, so I can run these ads for between 13 cents a click and 50 cents a click is my upper limit, right? So that's the range. I want 13, 10 is great, 13 to 45 cents is about what I can expect. And the lower range is usually for the more optimized ads that I've been running for some time. Like I've tested the images, I've tested the headlines. I know that those are working. The audience is great, and I just leave it running. So what happens is I get what's the math there? So if it's a 10 cent per click and I'm doing $10 a day, that's, 100 people going to Amazon. And if my Amazon page has been set up, I've got a great cover, good blurb description, it matches the genre expectation the reader has when they bounce over, then I can expect that page to convert maybe, 1 in 20. So one of every 20 people that come will buy it. So that's 5 sales a day. Okay, and that's at full price, by the way. My books are $6.99 full price. I'm saying I can expect probably, if it's a 1 in 20 converting page and 100 people visit the page, that's 5 people that buy, right? So I'm making $20 a day, right, on a $10 ad spend. I will do that all day long. Then we get into scaling, which is a little tricky, and it's not as simple as just adding more dollars into the front of the engine and getting more people out. We want it to be, and it's what we all hope for. I never look at daily stuff, right? So it's 5 people might come today and buy the book, but then the same exact ad, same exact marketplace, one person or nobody will buy the next day. And this is statistical variance, right? This just means it's a numbers game. Mathematically speaking, variance is very important to understand because we're dealing with a lot of just random variables that we can't even begin to understand. So don't look at each individual day of success or failure. We have to look at a 7-day or usually even like a 14-day window to determine whether or not our ads are successful. With traffic ads, since we're sending them to Amazon, we also want to have attribution in place, which is another Amazon tool that they released. It lives in your ads dashboard under measurement and reporting. And you set this up very simply. It actually looks more complicated than it really is, but you go find your book. That's your advertising. So the ad that you build on Facebook, you're sending people to Amazon, but they're landing on your book page, right? Hopefully, you're not just sending them to Amazon.com. And you find your book, you paste it into the attribution thing, and it gives you an attribution tag, which is just a tag at the end of the URL. And so you take the whole thing and you paste it into Facebook when you set up your ad, and now sales are being attributed to it. So this is basically Amazon saying, hey, we've got a pixel installed, we know what's going on, we're going to give you a little bit of that data through this thing called attribution. And it actually works pretty well. We can't trust every single number, but that's the way online advertising has always been. It's not Amazon's fault or Facebook's fault, it's just the way it is. For example, as an aside, when iOS 14 came out, everyone advertising on Facebook was freaking out because Apple was basically limiting the data that was being sent back to Facebook, which meant advertisers didn't have information about who was doing what, where. We're a few years past that now, and while, yeah, the data is a little harder to interpret, it's all the more reason to not try to interpret it daily. Let the data come in, let the data be collected, let the attribution side work, and let you see what the results are, and you'll be able to make educated guesses. Use it. It's there to use. And it's the best data we've got. There's really nothing else you can do. Back in the day, what we used to do before attribution was we would actually set up affiliate links, which is against Amazon's terms of service, or Facebook's terms of service. You're not supposed to use affiliate links in ads. But that was the only way to do it. It's the only way to track stuff. Amazon wouldn't give us a non-affiliate attribution link like they did now. And so we would run our Facebook ads through our affiliate link, and then on our affiliate dashboard, we'd be able to see, generally speaking, who clicked or who purchased. But that just wasn't really good enough data to actually make good decisions. It just showed us that our ad was working or not. So attribution is far better than that. And if you've got books in Kindle Unlimited, it will also track the page reads, which is super valuable. I'm in Kindle Unlimited, and so it's great to see the KENP, the Kindle edition normalized page count, going up over time, because it's not just sales that I'm after, it's the Kindle Unlimited page reads. People can get it for free and then read the book, and I want that page reads number to come up. That's all on the attributions dashboard. And it's worth noting that data is a couple weeks late. So you start your ad today, you're going to have to wait until 2 weeks from now before you even begin to see the first person who opened your book and started reading it. And usually it's a few days after, because somebody buys the book and they may not read it right away. So 2 to 3 weeks is generally what I say. I mean, you have to leave these things running before you can even tell if the traffic ad is working. So while they're cheaper, we don't have immediate data. And that's, I know, a long-winded answer for why traffic ads are foundational, but also not the only thing we should be doing. So you build your traffic ad, you set it up, you click, I want traffic, you send them to an attribution tagged link on Amazon, and then you wait. And while you're waiting, you're working on your sales ads and stuff, but making sure that your creative is working. You're making sure your images are converting, and you're going to start to see one or more images that perform better, and one or more headlines and one or more descriptions that perform better. And so when you have the data from the attribution side saying, yeah, this ad is working, people are buying it, people are buying the book, then you can start to scale, either up or down. So all that to say, when I'm going through and doing a traffic ad, at this point in the game, I know pretty well what type of creatives will work well, but I don't know which one, so I'll still create 5 different iterations and put them all in an ad set that is, the box for dynamic creative is checked, which means with dynamically shifting the images around and displaying them with different headlines and text things and all the different options I choose. This is a very rapid way of almost like A/B testing, like on steroids. And after the 2 weeks window where I start to see page reads come in, then I can start to go back and say, okay, I know which ad is converting better, meaning I know which one Facebook is showing. It's spending the most budget. Usually that's the best performing one. And Facebook thinks that's the best converting one because it's the one that most people have clicked on. I can see that ad, and I can see that, oh, it is actually generating some sales and bringing people in. I'll make a new attribution link just for that iteration of ad, that dynamic ads that we created. So it's just one image now, one headline, one description, and I make a new attribution link and set that one ad up in an ad set in the same campaign, but in that ad set, and then I add more budget to the campaign, and that's my scaling ad set. So that's the one I'm going to try to scale up, because all the data that we've gotten so far says this is the best image, this is the best headline, this is the best description, blah, blah, blah. And Amazon's attribution is saying, yeah, people are buying it. So you got a good ad here, time to throw some fuel on the fire. Scaling is still tricky at that point. We don't want to just add a ton more money and just double our money every day, because it freaks everything out, and all of a sudden Facebook scrambles to try to find more people like that, and it misses the mark a lot of times. And so if we just double the budget, we're giving it too much. What we need to do instead is just juice it a little bit, 10% maybe. So if you're $10 a day, now you're at $11 a day, and let that run for a week. And you look at it the next week and go, yeah, okay, it's still working. Now we're going to make it $11.50 or $12. So I try to increase or decrease by 10 to 20%, usually no more than 20, 25% at any one time. What this does is slows down our growth. And this is why scaling is so hard, because there are 2-week intervals where I'll go back and say, man, I didn't get sales. And variance, it's worked its way out of the system at that point, because I'm looking at 2 weeks rolling average, what we call it. And I'm just not getting the sales. It doesn't matter why. We can pretend to know the answer why, but the important part is it didn't get sales. So I'll just bump back down the whole campaign. So the scaling one in there and anything else I'm testing against it in another ad set. And I'll take the whole campaign, and maybe it's at $20, I'll bring it down to $18. I'll reduce it by 10%. Or maybe I'll bring it down to $16 if it's really underperforming. And I'll test some new creatives, and I'll maybe even get rid of the ad and the scaling ad set that's no longer working. And I'll shift things up, and I'll pop it in again. We should all be doing this because traffic ads are a lot cheaper than sales ads. We can benefit from all the people on Facebook who want to buy a book directly from Amazon, or Barnes & Noble, or Apple iBooks, bookstore, whatever it's called now, Kobo, Smashwords, whatever the store is you want to send people to. You can use a traffic ad to do that. I recommend Amazon because all of us should be at least available on Amazon. It's the biggest bookstore in the world. So we're going to talk about sales ads a little bit now. Sales ads are the opposite of traffic ads. Remember, you are sending people from Facebook to your website. You're trying to attract them to your own website because you've got the pixel, which is the power. You've got the power installed in your website, this magical code that knows what's happening when Betty Sue jumps on the website and what she clicks and doesn't click and how much money she spends and how quickly she does it. Facebook's algorithm says, okay, if this is what you want, I'm going to go find more people like Betty Sue. And it's very good at doing that. Downside is it's very expensive to do that. Usually, $10 a day is not going to work. You're going to have to spend probably $30 minimum. $50 a day is usually what I test with, and it does get to be I get a little sweaty, get a little nervous when things don't work. But the beauty of doing all this stuff with a direct sales platform like a website like Shopify or WordPress is you get paid when someone buys the book, and you get paid immediately or a day later. So if someone uses PayPal, that gets transferred to your bank account within 1 to 3 days, and you can use that exact money to go pay for the ad. So you can basically keep this break-even cycle, and hopefully you're close to breaking even or at a very little bit of a loss when you're testing this stuff up. You can use this churn, this cycle of get a little bit of money, throw it over here, get a little money, throw it over here, so that you haven't really lost a bunch of money. Because on Amazon, if you do a traffic ad for $100 a day, that's $3,000 a month, and maybe you made $5,000 in Amazon from that same month of ads. You don't get paid for another 60 days after close of business, right? So you have to wait, and you have to float all this stuff, and it doesn't really work as well to turn off the ads and wait till you get paid and then turn them back on. That is a cycle that nobody wants to be in. And so using sales ads is a great kind of stopgap to be able to not only build your own platform, you become your own Amazon, but also to make sure that you're doing it in a way that's sustainable. Yeah, there's a little bit of admin work to be able to, okay, I got to get paid, transfer the money, put it over here. But there's so much power in being able to do that because you control every lever there. You're telling Facebook what you want, they're giving it to you, and if you get a good set of ads, you can scale that up, and you're going to make more money the longer you scale that up, if it's working. That's the beauty of a sales ad. If you haven't done either one of these, I recommend starting with traffic ads simply because they're cheaper. They tend to be a little easier because there's not as much optimization you need to do, meaning you can't really control how Amazon displays your book on that page. So there's no reason to try to tweak it. You can't move the book cover from the left side of the page to the right side of the page because it's Amazon's page. And you also know that they've spent trillions of dollars testing that and making that the absolute best converting landing page on the planet. And I believe it is. I believe that no one does it better than Amazon. So if your book isn't selling, it's usually not because of that. It's usually not because of the landing page, right? It's something else. Your cover is not hitting expectations, or the title's weird, or it's got 800 one-star reviews and no 5-star reviews. There's something there or your book sucks. Sorry, sometimes books just aren't as good. Usually, 99.99% of the time, it's not Amazon's fault that your book isn't selling. Does that make sense? You're sending traffic to it and people aren't converting. So there's an issue with the book itself, or there's an issue with your audience targeting. You're targeting Suzanne Collins when you write John Grisham. That's not the same author. And so people will go, I like Suzanne Collins, I'll click this and go over, and they're met with a legal thriller. They're gonna be like, that's not really my thing, I'll pass. So you're not sending good data to Amazon. That may sound really complicated, but it gets infinitely more convoluted when you're running sales ads, because you do control everything. So you control not just the audience and the creatives and all that, just like you do with traffic ads, but you're also the store. And so you do get the ability to move your book cover from the left side of the page to the right side. So if people come to your page, it may be that the book is totally fine and that your cover's awesome and that they love the style, they love your description, it hooks them right away, but they can't find the checkout button. Or your website is just a spinning wheel of death. Or they get into the cart and they're asking too many questions. It asks for your billing address 3 times. There's all these stupid reasons that you run into when you get into web stuff where it might not be converting because the page itself is broken or it's just not optimized well enough. And so sales ads get really tricky because we don't know where in the chain people are falling off. So to make a more expensive ad even more expensive, a lot of people, including me, recommend using some sort of tool like a heat map tool, which is literally just it takes recordings of people visiting your site and it lets you see where they're clicking, where they're scrolling, if they scroll down, how long they're staying on there. And then the most powerful ones will actually record the session that you can watch like a movie. And I use one called Lucky Orange. I love it. A lot of people love one called Mouse Flow. And there's a few other ones out there, but those are the big players. If you start getting into sales ads, I highly recommend doing this at least in the beginning for the first few months. You may not be a nerd like me and get a bowl of popcorn and start watching recordings of your site visitors, which is literally have done that, minus the popcorn, because I don't want my fingers getting all buttery. But I've literally sat down and watched 500 recordings of people, and they're usually 1 second or less, so it doesn't take that long. But some of them, people will pop their browser open, and you hear about people doing weird stuff, but you get to see it. And it's crazy. People will click my Facebook ad, they'll go to my website, and they'll just sit there. And I'm like, oh my God, they're reading every word on the page. No, they just left their computer and they're gonna go make dinner. And the whole time it's being recorded because the browser's open. And so what happens is you start to get all this data, you start watching all these little movies and you start to see what people do. And you taking all that data in and letting it filter and process it using your own common sense, you can make some really easy, educated guesses. Like, oh, people have to scroll down to find the add to cart button. That seems dumb. Why don't we put the add to cart button a little bit higher, right? And so then you can go in and tweak your sales page so that the add to cart button's a little bit higher. One that happened recently was I noticed people were getting a 502 bad gateway, which is just an error message like a 404 that you hit before, but it's a misconfiguration on my actual server. And since I built the server, I knew that was my fault. So we can't be having that. I'm not paying a bunch of money for people to come over and get a 502 error because they're not going to ever come back. If you're going to do this, if you're going to run these kind of sales ads, and I believe you should, you need to be optimizing your page and you need to be doing it with real data, not just guesses. Oh, I heard orange buttons convert better, so I made all my buttons orange. Yeah, but if your brand is maroon or blue or green, that orange button's going to stick out like a sore thumb. And we're past that kind of psychology where people just click orange things on the internet. That's maybe 1995 when the internet was brand new. Ooh, shiny, click the orange button. We don't do that crap anymore. So go to the website, make it look branded well, and optimize based on data is the point. All this to say, this is part of running Facebook sales ads. I wish it wasn't. I wish we could just say, hey, Facebook, here's $50. Go find me 50 people. It doesn't work that way. Sales ads, for just a lot of reasons, are more expensive. I gave you ranges for traffic ads. 13 cents to about 45 cents is pretty typical for a traffic ad. That doesn't include the sale, obviously. Hopefully I can convert 1 in 20. Sales ads are 100 times more expensive than that. It may cost me $13 to get somebody to convert, meaning to go through my checkout and actually purchase something. Usually, the last campaigns that I've been running, I can usually expect to spend around $24 to $30 just to get a sale. What happens is, inevitably, we get all excited, we set up our store, and we're selling $5 ebooks. And people come, and it takes a long time to get buyers using the conversion ad that Facebook has and sending our way. And so we might get 5, maybe 10 people a day from that ad, $50 a day from that ad coming to our website. That's it. And that might be as high as 30, but people come in and they're just coming slower because Facebook is not trying to find just anyone who click a link. It's trying to find people it knows are interested in purchasing things on the internet because they have this data. So there's no reason to not run these sales ads, but it is worth mentioning it's going to take a lot more people and a lot more time and a lot more money to get them to convert. So you're spending more money per person, per customer to find them, but they're better customers. So they come to your website and they buy your $5 ebook. Great, you got a sale. The Pixel sends that information back to Facebook, and what the business suite does, the ads manager does, is it says, hey, you had a sale. So the number of purchases turns into 1. You can see that data. It's usually a couple days late, right? So it'll show up as 1 a couple days later. And you go, yay, I got a sale. So you've just spent, let's say, 3 days of ads, so $150 on this sales ad, and you've made $5. Well, honey, that ain't gonna work, right? So what we do is we look at, how do we optimize this sales ad? Can we get this to be better? There's usually some tweaks we can do. The creatives, this is where we get into creative testing. So are there images that can convert better, that can find more people faster? Are there audiences that I can increase the size of the audience and try to help Facebook not have to hone that on its own? But the biggest change we can do is offer more product for a higher price. And it's like the antithesis of what most authors want to do or think, but it totally works. So the secret, if there is any secret, is don't sell the $5 ebook. Send that person who you already know has buying intent. They have money, they're on Facebook to click things and go buy them. And you can find an audience of people who like to buy books. And so they're not afraid to spend money, and they're not afraid to do it right now. That's why sales ads are so valuable, but you can't be selling them $5 ebooks. You're going to be underwater, right? So what you do is you put a package together of 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 books, whatever it is, and offer it for this huge discount, which might be $100 if they bought them all separately. And now you're going to offer it to them for $25 or $30 or $35. And this might sound crazy because you've had the Jims and the Bobs come into your website since you started in this industry, and they're looking for freebies, right? They're looking, oh my God, I might spend $1 on a book, but woe is me, I don't have $1. Or $2.99, $6.99, are you crazy? I can't afford that. I'm gonna get in Kindle Unlimited and get all your books for free because I'm so cheap. Stop chasing the cheap people, right? So the Jims and Bobs, forget about them. Focus on the people who have money and they have purchase intent. They're out there, and Facebook, of all platforms, knows all of them. It knows where they are. So it's got 1,400 billion, trillion, gazillion buyers ready to go. You just have to target them, and it costs a little bit more money than the traffic ads. But if you build a package that is still an attractive offer, 6 books for $24.99 is the one that I have going on right now. It works. People will come and they will buy it. And then what I do is at checkout, I say, hey, do you want the audiobook bundle as well? Double your price, and I'll give you 6 books, 6 audiobooks for $24.99. And so now all of a sudden, I'm making $50 off that person. So that one conversion, that one purchase that gets sent from the Pixel to Facebook's dashboard, if I have 3 sales, which is totally reasonable, $50 day ad spend, 3 sales, that's $75 if they didn't add anything, if they didn't add the audiobook bundle. So then I add after the cart, after they actually click checkout, yeah, I want the audiobook. So that was the order bump. It's in the shopping cart, and it says, hey, toggle this little switch, and I'll add 6 audiobooks to your 6 ebooks. And then, ooh, okay, cool, they click the toggle button. That's the order bump. Then the next thing after checkout, instead of the thank you page, they get the upsell page. So the upsell page can be anything you want, but it's more stuff that they might want. You might also use a cross-sell where they're like, hey, you bought books, do you want to buy a mug or a t-shirt with my face on it, or a pillow? I don't know. Whatever it is, you've got other stuff that you want to sell them, that's a cross-sell. If it's other books and something more valuable, you give them, it's called an upsell. And they click that too. Okay, I'm going to add a coffee cup for $15 and then add shipping. And then they click go, and the next page they get to is the thank you page. Hey, your books are on the way. They're all delivered through BookFunnel. Thanks for spending $100 with me today, but you're going to get a lot of cool crap. Guess what? I've also got something else for you. And you put another offer right there on the thank you page that says, do you want to add 2 more books? I'm trying to get rid of these things. I got a box of paperbacks here. I'll ship you one for $10. Like, okay, great. Cool. I've already given you my credit card. I've already given you my shipping address. Sure, add it to the cart. So you've just taken a pretty attractive offer, $24.99 for 6 books, and you've made $115. And that's obviously a perfect scenario. But how many of those do you need before your $50 a day Facebook spend starts looking like the best deal in the world? That's how sales ads work. So you can't think of sales ads as very expensive traffic ads. They're just a wholly different thing. But you should be doing both. You start with traffic ads. If you're not doing anything at all, start with traffic ads because they're cheaper. This will help you learn the ropes, learn the system. The way that we're going to be building ads is the same. You can use the same stuff for sales ads that you use for traffic ads. You'll have to change the messaging a little bit. Like you might say, hey, it's available on Kindle Unlimited if you click here for a traffic ad, whereas you might say, go buy it directly from me and cut out the middleman. But that's all technical stuff. Point is, you should be starting with traffic ads and running at $5, $10, $15 a day. Start with 5 and just work your way up. And once you start feeling comfortable with the ad platform itself, then you can jump in and make sure your website is set up and optimized really well, or just use Shopify, use the Dawn theme. It doesn't have to be anything fancy at all. But make sure your upsells and bundles are in place, because you're going to be spending money in order to get people over to your website. And it's going to cost a lot more to get those people. So you better be ready with a good offer that they'll actually pop for. $5 ebook, yeah, you might get a sale or two, but that person would easily have spent $20 more with you because they're sales ads. Okay, so 2 big strategies for Facebook ads. I hope that serves you. I hope that helps a little bit. Certainly not all there is to it, but thanks for being with us.